Welcome to Introduction to React number 14. I'm Jack Harrington, at Jahur on Twitter, and this is Blue Collar Coder. Now, in the previous episodes, we have done state management with Redux, with UState, with Zustand, and now we're going to look at one more state manager, and that's an old friend of mine, MobX. It's been around for a long time. It has a different take on how to do state management. I like it a lot. I'm interested to see if you will like it as well. So let's go import our Pokemon application to MobX. Okay, so here's our existing Pokemon search app. And we can filter on stuff. We can get more information. So we're going to use MobX instead of what we have right now, which is Zustand. And let's scroll down here to a quick example. So here you've got a timer is a class. And the magic sauce is in the constructor, where you do this make auto observable and then give it this, which is a reference to itself. And so that's going to take every field and make it observable in this class. And by observable, that means that when it changes, whatever is observing it will also get updated. And then to create the store, you just instantiate a new one of those objects. Then over on the React side, you use this observer in MobX React, and you wrap your components in that, and that makes them update whenever any field on the store that they observe changes. Let's fire up our terminal and go into Introduction to React. Bring up VS Code. Let's start it up just to make sure everything's fine. And it looks good. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is remove Zustand. And then add MobX and MobX React. Okay, let's start up again, and we expect a crash here. And we get that. No Zustand is found. Surely not. So let's get rid of the Zustand and then import from MobX. That make auto observable that we'll use inside of our class. So let's create a class for store. You don't have to name it store. You can name it whatever you want. We've just gotten into the habit in the web world of calling everything a store. I don't know why that is. So let's first make our fields a Pokemon filter and select a Pokemon by copying and pasting those in and then fixing those up. And then we'll create the constructor that's going to call that make auto observable. Just like from the documentation. And now we just need to create some setters. So let's create a set Pokemon. It takes a Pokemon and then sets the value to that. And then do the same thing for filter and select a Pokemon. Now we can get rid of the store. And to create a new one, we just create a constant of store. And then create a new store. And we'll return that store. Now the fetch, that's kind of interesting. So what do we do with that? Well, all we need to do is just call set Pokemon on the store. And give it the Pokemon. It's really that easy. Now we'll head down here and just fix up use store at the bottom. Okay, now I've got to go change out the components. Now this is a real drag. You can't imagine how hard this is going to be. So let's go find anywhere we use that store. Looks like in app.js we don't use the store at all. Let's go here to Pokemon filter. Okay, we got a store right there. So let's change out use store to store. Let's import that observer from MobX React. And then wrap the Pokemon filter function in that observer. And now here you go. You ready for this? How tough this is? Check this out. So we're going to have to change out filter to store.filter. And we're going to change out this handler to say store.setFilter. And now we can remove the Zustand stuff. And that's it. That's all we need to do. So a quick second before we go on to the next file. What we're doing here is we're basically saying that the value of this text field is going to be store.filter. And then whenever we get a change value, we're going to go take that event and call the setFilter function on store. So what observer is doing in this case is watching that component And whenever it requests the value of any observable, it's saying, great, this component is now subscribed to, in this case, store.filter. And so whenever store.filter changes, this component gets updated. And that's it. As clear as it gets. All right, so let's tidy this up a little bit. Nice to be succinct. And we'll go on to the next file. Pokemon info also uses store, so let's paste in observer. Change use store to store. Wrap the component in the observer. And then just change selected Pokemon to store.selected Pokemon. And that's really it. Let's go on to the next one, Pokemon row. It doesn't use a store, so we don't have anything to change there. Let's try out Pokemon table. It does have a store, so let's bring in that observer. Change use store to store. And then add store where appropriate. And then remove the Zustand stuff. And finally, wrap the Pokemon table in the observer. And now let's head over to our site. And it's working? Wow. Okay. Let's try it out. Apparently it filters well. I can do more information and it works. Okay. Well, either it hasn't reloaded, which is maybe the case, or it's real. Let's try this out. So I'm going to stop it and then restart it. You know, just to make sure that we're not seeing a cached thing. I mean, that was pretty spot on. Oh, wow. Okay. All right, then. It actually is working. So do we have any issues? Let's go over into the console. Okay, so it looks like we have some issues around keys and prop types. So let's fix those because those probably existed before, I'm guessing. So let's go over into Pokemon row. I see. Okay. We have a key here where we don't need it. And then we go back into Pokemon table and then add that key where it should be. Okay, that's fixed that key problem. And then we have a prop type problem here. So we're looking for an array of Pokemon types as opposed to just a Pokemon. So let's get rid of that. And then get rid of the prop types. Don't need that. Okay, one more thing. Apparently the Pokemon ID is mistyped. Let's go over to the Pokemon type. ID is a number. That is true. Thank you, React. And we're clean. Okay, so we've not only migrated to MobX, but we've actually done some housekeeping. That's great. Obviously, we've just touched on the bare surface of what MobX can give us. One thing that I wanted to look at in particular is computed values. So let's go over here and have a look at computeds. And what you can do is you can say that certain fields are computed, meaning that, for example, in this case, right, the value of total is actually just computed from an observable field called price times another observable field called amount. So let's try this out. I'm going to go and grab this section of this example, bring it over into our store. And now we no longer have make auto observable, so we need to go and specify which fields are observable and which fields are computed. So in this case, Pokemon filter and selected Pokemon are all observables. And then we're going to have a new field called filtered Pokemon, which is computed. So the way that we implement that is to create a getter with filtered Pokemon as the function. And let's head over to the Pokemon table and get the implementation for this. So we're going to take this filter section here and copy it, and then paste it into filtered Pokemon here. And replace store dot with this dot. Okay, so now we've got a computed value which has Pokemon, but filtered by that filter string. And now whenever Pokemon or filter change, then filtered Pokemon will automatically update. So let's go back over to our Pokemon table and just change out store.pokemon to store.filtered Pokemon. Let's go take a look at that worked. And it works great. Awesome. So why did we do that? Well, what we've done is we've moved the business logic of the filtering from the visual component back into the model or store or whatever you want to call it. So that creates a nice separation of concerns, right? You've got the store that holds the mechanics of the app, the fields, and any kind of business logic. And then you got the view, which basically just takes whatever that is and puts it on the screen. So that's one of the things that I really like about MobX is that ability to just define a class as a model and then just use it kind of almost as is. I mean, if you now go over and take a look at that store.js file, right, it is very clean. You have one class. The only concession that you have to make to MobX is that make observable in the constructor. And that's not a big concession. All right, I hope you can see why people like MobX so much. It's a very clean system that, at least for me, kind of hews to my mental model of how state management is done. If you have any questions or comments or feedback, I would love to hear those in the comments section down below. And of course, you can always connect with us on our Discord server just directly. There's a link to that in the description. There's also a link to the newsletter, which comes out every week and gives you access to these videos a day earlier than everyone else. Feel free to like and share these videos with your friends. Hit that subscribe button and click on that bell and you'll be notified anytime a new one of these videos comes out. And in the meantime, of course, be happy, be healthy, and be safe.